Right now, a massive, heavily armed naval deployment is positioning itself just 150 kilometers off the coast of Iran. This is an amphibious assault ship, like the USS Wasp. It acts as a floating fortress, carrying up to 5,000 Marines, heavily armored vehicles, and a complete arsenal for a ground invasion. On the deck of this ship sits the F-35B fighter jet. These aircraft don't require a traditional runway. They use a directed exhaust system to perform vertical takeoffs and landings, allowing the ship to launch airstrikes from a compact space. And to move those thousands of troops ashore rapidly, they use the V-22 Osprey. This aircraft starts with its rotors facing up to lift like a helicopter, then tilts them forward to fly at the high speeds of a traditional airplane. On paper, a multi-billion-dollar centralized force like this appears invincible. But by bringing this massive, highly concentrated military architecture to the Persian Gulf, they are sailing directly into a tactical trap. The United States military relies on extremely expensive, highly centralized machinery. The problem is that their opponent in this region has built an entire military infrastructure specifically for decentralized combat. This is known as asymmetric warfare. It happens when a much weaker opponent completely avoids fighting on the larger power's terms. Instead, they use unconventional, low-cost tactics to exploit the vulnerabilities of complex, multi-billion-dollar systems. Traditional firepower and technological superiority can no longer guarantee a win. To protect these massive ships, the military relies on the Close-In Weapon System, or CWIS. This automated defense shield tracks incoming threats and shreds them by firing 6,000 rounds per minute. Iran counters this with a tactic called saturation. They launch a preliminary wave of up to 500 cheap, expendable drones at the ship at once. The goal is to force that automated gun to fire until it runs out of ammunition. Once the ship's defenses are drained and reloading, the secondary strike begins. Iran deploys its Mosquito fleet, swarms of highly maneuverable speedboats, each packed with anti-ship missiles, rushing the target from all directions. A multi-million-dollar defense shield becomes completely useless when you can exhaust it with a few $1,000s worth of disposable drones. This asymmetry extends to the sky. Highly advanced U.S. aircraft, including the F-15 and the heavily armored A-10 Warthog, are suddenly vulnerable to being shot down by relatively cheap anti-air weapons. Historically, advanced fighter jets dodge infrared heat-seeking missiles by dropping burning flares. This creates a secondary, much brighter heat source designed to trick the missile into flying away from the jet's engine. But that countermeasure is failing. New Iranian missiles use updated targeting software. They are programmed to lock on to the specific physical size of the jet and the precise 400 to 600 degree heat signature. Because the flares are too small and burn at the wrong temperature, the missile's computer ignores them, tracking the larger airframe. Decades of superior aerospace engineering are now being completely bypassed by simple, low-cost updates to missile targeting software. Previous Middle Eastern conflicts were fought across flat, open deserts. Iran is entirely different. The country is dominated by rugged mountain ranges. The military uses this geography to their advantage. They bury vehicles, weapons, and supply lines inside vast underground tunnel networks carved beneath the solid rock. Inside those mountains operates what is known as a mosaic command structure. The Iranian military is split into 31 highly decentralized, autonomous factions. Each one maintains its own commanders, its own arsenals, and its own target lists. This makes a traditional decapitation strike ineffective. Taking out the top national leadership will not stop the war, because those 31 other factions will simply continue retaliating from their mountain fortresses. If the battlefield tactics prove too difficult, Iran has an ultimate asymmetric weapon, its ability to hold global supply chains hostage. This satellite image shows the Strait of Hormuz, an incredibly narrow choke point between two massive landmasses. Roughly 20% of the entire world's oil supply passes through this specific gap. And geographically, the threat expands even further. By utilizing Houthi proxy forces, they can simultaneously attack major shipping routes in the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. A handful of cheap missiles fired into these specific straits can instantly choke off up to 40% of global shipping, severely crippling the world economy. But the most severe card they can play targets regional survival directly, threatening the civilian water infrastructure of neighboring Arab nations. These desert countries rely almost entirely on exposed desalination plants, like the one pictured here, to convert seawater into safe drinking water. A single strike on these facilities, or the deployment of a dirty bomb to pollute the water intakes, would leave millions of people without access to drinking water in a matter of days. Modern warfare is no longer decided by who has the biggest ships or the fastest jets. By weaponizing geography, deploying decentralized swarms, and targeting global infrastructure, Iran has engineered a standoff where a military victory carries the risk of a global collapse.